In this video, I'm doing some frequency conversions, and I'm converting amongst hertz and megahertz and gigahertz and kilohertz. And frequency values are good ones to do for large numbers because we tend to have hertz in the values of kilo and mega and giga, even terahertz when we're talking about the frequencies of light waves, for example. And these problems are a matter of demonstrating the use of conversion factors. And so I'm going to go ahead and take my 4.567 hertz, and I'm going to convert it into megahertz by multiplying by 1 times 10 to the 6th. No. Let's see, I need to have hertz in the denominator, and I want to have megahertz in the numerator. So 1 megahertz in the numerator is equal to 1 times 10 to the 6th hertz in the denominator. Okay, so it's 1,000,000 hertz per 1 megahertz. And now I've got the units of hertz canceling from the first term to the second term. And I've got 4.567 divided by 10 to the 6th, which is 4.567 times 10 to the minus 6 megahertz. Okay, 4.567 times 10 to the minus 6 megahertz. And mega is plus 6, and I have a minus 6 here, so those could technically cancel, and I would get 4.567 hertz, which is what I did indeed start with. Okay, let's convert 2.401 gigahertz into megahertz. What I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply by the factor, the conversion factor, 1,000 megahertz per 1 gigahertz. Giga is 10 to the 9th. Mega is 10. Giga is 10 to the 12th. No, giga is 10 to the 9th. Mega is 10 to the 6th. Been a long day. And so the gigahertz cancel, and I'm left with megahertz. And I have 2.4 times 1,000, or 2,400 megahertz. This could also be written as 2.401 gigahertz, which I guess is what I started with. Okay, so there's part B. Part C says 43.2 kilohertz in the units of megahertz. 43.2 kilohertz. And now I want to convert that to megahertz, so I say that 1,000 kilohertz is equal to 1 megahertz. Right? It is. So I'm going to divide by 1,000, and I'm going to get 0.0432 times 10 to the megahertz. 432 megahertz. Or 43.2 kilohertz. Okay. 1,000 kilohertz is 1 megahertz, right? Now I've got 1,234,000 hertz, and I want to put this in terms of megahertz, so I'm going to multiply by 1 megahertz is equal to 10 to the 6th hertz. Okay? And so I'm going to get my answer in megahertz. The hertz cancel, and I've got 1e6 in the denominator, and I'm going to take that, and I'm going to use that 10 to the minus 6 in the denominator to move my decimal place over 6 places. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We get a 1.2. Which pen do I use? 1.234 megahertz. Where's my M at? There it is. Okay. It has been a long day. 2.2 times 10 to the 5th hertz. And I want to convert this to kilohertz, so I'm going to say that 1,000 hertz is 1 kilohertz. And so I take the 2.2 times 10 to the 5th and divide by 1,000. That's like subtracting 3 off the exponent, and I have 2.2 times 10 to the 2 kilohertz. I've canceled the hertz values and I'm left with kilohertz. Okay, 2.2 e to the 2 kilohertz, or 220 kilohertz, or 0.22 megahertz. Okay, those are all the same number. Let's see, 1.0 times 10 to the minus 2 megahertz. And I want to convert this into kilohertz, so I'm going to multiply it by 1 megahertz is 1,000 kilohertz. Kilo is 1,000, mega is million. And so the megahertz cancel, and I'm left with 1.0 times 10 to the minus 2 times 1,000. So if I add 3 to the negative 2, I get a 1. So I get a 1.0 e to the 1. And this turns out to be 10. Okay? 1.0 times 10 to the 1, or 1.0 times 10. Okay. Next part, G, 3.00 times 10 to the 12th hertz into units of gigahertz. So I'm going to say that I wanted to put my hertz here, so I know to put hertz in the denominator. And I'm going to say 1e9 hertz in the denominator is 1 gigahertz in the numerator. Okay. And the hertz cancel, and it's like 3 times 10 to the 12th divided by 1 times 10 to the 9th. Just takes off 9 powers of 10 here. 3 times 10 to the 12 minus 9 is 3, or 3,000 gigahertz. And I got to make sure, part F, here I am checking over my paper, I'm going to say 10 kilohertz. Okay. Finally, 0.0567 gigahertz into the units of megahertz. I'm going to say 1 gigahertz is 1,000 megahertz. This is a conversion factor. 1 gigahertz is 1,000 megahertz. The gigahertz units cancel, and I'm left with 1,000 times this thing. But 1,000 times that thing is easy because I just moved the decimal place over 3 spots. 1, 2, 3. 56.7. 56.7 gigahertz. Wow, it's still quite rapid. I'm sorry, no. Gigahertz units have canceled here. And the whole point of doing this is that we're not taking the answer in gigahertz, but we're putting it into megahertz. 56.7. So if I go back and review here, my gigahertz canceled here, and I got my answer in megahertz. My hertz canceled here, I got my answer in gigahertz. Megahertz canceled in part F, my answer was in kilohertz. Hertz canceled in part E, and I got my answer in kilohertz. Okay, and so on. Hertz canceling, answer in megahertz. Kilohertz canceling, answer in megahertz. Gigahertz canceling, answer in megahertz. And hertz canceling, answer in megahertz. Okay, hope this one helps you.